We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on the Indianapolis Colts defense, how the Miami Dolphins can attack them, and I think this is, like, the best matchup they've had all year long, just, like, based on talent. Like, this is probably the worst talent, like, of a defense that they've faced, and just, like, you look at them statistically and on film, and I think the Dolphins match up really, really well. Dolphins offense obviously has struggled, but I think they can find some consistency in this game specifically. Gus Bradley, their defensive coordinator, run like, 4-3, mix of like under over fronts. You'll see with like they do some different things with 1 gap, 2 gap responsibility. Colts miss too many tackles. They play undisciplined football and just aren't the most talented group. Their linebackers, I think, are better in coverage than they are versus the run. So like they'll match up, make some plays in that area. And they have some talent back there. They'll gain some depth, but you can find some underneath check down options. The Colts, the secondary, I think when they are healthy, have had some players that can make some plays, but can definitely be attacked if they are committing to stop the run. But they run cover 3 at the second highest rate in the NFL. They run it 44% of the time. Obviously, Gus Bradley coming from that Seattle tree, that's what they like to run. They run zone also at the second highest rate overall. So like there will be some ways that you can attack them, especially with play action. There'll be ways to find some open spots there. They'll create some turnovers if you try to force it. Like they're more of a bend, don't break. Like they're going to gain a lot of depth and they'll give you some underneath options. But you can pound the football downhill, you can run outside zone, you can run misdirection. They struggle with pretty much all of it. That's why I think the Dolphins really can find, some success for them. But then they were getting beat over the top by the Jaguars. They found some opportunities to attack them, just good play calls. And then the Colts just over pursuing, missing tackles pretty consistently. Also, they don't create a ton of pressure up front. Like, I think they have like the second lowest pressure rate, at least according to the stats I saw. So they weren't creating a ton of pressure, which, they struggled with. This Green Bay Packers game is a good game to look at because this is the game where the Packers just ran the ball like over 40 times against them and still found a lot of success on the ground. Colts really, really struggle. So hopefully the Dolphins can kind of stick with that running game because that's where they're going to be able to get some big plays and with some consistency. And the Colts still don't like rank well versus the pass either. It's just not as bad, and teams really like to stick downhill on the running game versus them, so that will be interesting to look at. So we'll start breaking this stuff down right here. They're actually in a more of a they're in a 4-3 over front here, so the 3 tech is playing to the strength. Usually they'll have a 3 tech and like a 1 technique, or like he's playing more of like a 2-eye here, but they'll play in these 4-3 over fronts, the 3 tech to the strength, and he is 1 gapping. This player is typically 2 gapping, and then the edge defenders, usually it's a mix. One of them's 2 gapping, one of them's 1 gapping, but they struggle to set the edge. This guy shoots upfield as a 1 gap defender, kind of gets taken out of the play. It gets like pin and pull, but also has similar looks here to outside zone. This guy falls off balance. He struggles to set the edge. This guy, I believe, is better as a pass rusher. Gets kicked out, and there's just so much room. They climb up to the linebacker super easily in this versus this defense. You can see Tennessee just blocks it up so well, and there's just huge gaps. Like the safety this linebacker ends up making this tackle here late, but like if he doesn't get that, like this is a potential touchdown. Like there's room and even more yards to be gained versus this defense, and like they play a lot of cover 3, so a lot of single high. They get extra numbers in the box. Even with extra numbers in the box, they struggle to get this. Like guys ending up on the ground, getting taken out of the play, like only getting responsible for 1 gap, and then if the running back makes the correct read, there's lots of opportunities. You can see it all game long. Tony Pollard on these outside zone concepts was getting so many looks. Like you can see, they come out in a 4-3 over front again, so the 3 tech is to the strength of the formation. You can see, like, look how many numbers they have on this side of the ball. So they, just motion this across, bump some people down. This nickel basically gets to get blocked now and has to fill and, get blocked by an offensive tackle. And their nickel, Kenny Moore, is a good player, one of their best players. But you can see, like, 44 getting lost a lot. Like, sometimes I'm watching 44 on defense versus the run, and he is lost, has no idea what's going on with all the misdirection. He will struggle with motion. There will be lots of gaps to just hit. Like, if you can block them up front, and they do not have the strongest front either, you'll see a normal, familiar face in Raekwon Davis, who obviously I was not a huge fan of when he was with the Dolphins, and the rest of their defensive front up front, not the greatest players. They still have, like, the rookie Latu, who's more of a pass rusher as well. You can take advantage of it. The Titans came out and ran like a bunch of screens versus the Colts, and they did a good job stopping the screens. Like, they'll hustle and get out versus the screens. But then they came out, boom, give the slight hesitation, like this is going to be a screen, fake block, and go. get over the top. You beat this safety, who I believe Nick Cross. I think Cross is a rookie, so young safety right there that you can definitely potentially take advantage of. If you're showing a lot of stuff, like if you're having success or you're showing a lot of different looks, like running the ball or screens, like they will get their eyes stuck in the backfield with all the nonsense. The Dolphins, this game is really on McDaniel. McDaniel calls a really good game and actually runs something, basically a similar, game plan to what he did versus New England. The Dolphins should find even more success because I think the Colts defense is just like a worse version of New England's running a lot of cover 3, but they stop the run even better. And as you can see, like we go back to that, Colts bring a lot of pressure. They bring 6 defenders up front. They try to bring, and this still gets a clean pocket. Will Levis was not sacked in this game. There's been 2 games this year where the Colts didn't get a sack or QB hit in 2 full games. And Levis has been, this is the first time he hadn't been sacked. Like the Titans had not given up a sack in years. And they have a really bad offensive line up front. And they were able to, get these like layered concepts going, running like this sail, the flood type of thing going to the outside here. And they will and they gain depth here. Like this defender gains some depth and they're still able to get over the top of him. But just one thing I want to notice is like their second level defenders will gain depth. So like it's not going to be able to like hit this stuff the whole game, but they leave a lot of these underneath defenders wide open for like opportunities. And this is a 2nd and long. So he's trying to, get over the top to Hopkins, which he does. Good throw by Levis. But those underneath options are open. It's very open all over the film. So hopefully Dolphins can take advantage of that. This is just poor tackling. This is a 3rd and long at the goal line. It was like a 3rd and goal from, 20 something. And they just run a draw. Poor tackling technique. Just really poor tacklers across the board. I don't know what the effort is from them. If the Dolphins running backs are running hard, I literally think any of them can have big days. I could see Raheem, Jalen Wright, Achane, if he's playing, all have big success versus this defense. And that should be the big game plan. And then also like mixing in play action, potentially taking some deep shots if they do go one-on-one on the outside. I'm also for that too. But they have some players who make some plays out there. They can bring some pressure here. Jalen Jones, number 40, their corner will try, isn't too bad. I think the other guy on the other side, Samuel Womack, has made some plays too. Kenny Moore, I know traditionally, or, has been their best player at the nickel. I don't know how well he's played this season, but like in the games I watched, it doesn't look like he's playing quite up to form there as he used to. Their safeties, I think, can be attacked, but they will. They had some interceptions in the games I watched too, but just good job squeezing on the back end here, 1-on-1 versus Hopkins. They'll try to make some plays here. They try to get over the top on Ridley. This is against Womack, who I think has had a good season for them. Ridley kind of gets over the top of him, but Womack actually does a decent job versus a double move to get back into position. Levis floats an absolute duck, and then Blackman's able to get over there and get an interception. So sometimes if you try to take a shot versus this defense, they'll make some plays on the back end. That's why you want to be consistently running the ball, finding that success, because that's where they're gonna give up those plays. But look how much depth these guys will gain, even versus play action. This is a play action. Dolphins will try to go play action and run pretty much similar stuff to this, where like you have 2 guys running, like deep, curls over the middle, that type of thing. This is in the playbook, and they'll squeeze it. Like you could have thrown this one, but this linebacker gets in the throwing lane. Like so, they gain depth out of play action a lot, but they'll give you underneath options all day. They'll run a lot of cover 3. So when they're running cover 3, usually you attack the seams and the flats underneath stuff. They're going to try to take away the seams. The linebackers do a decent job of getting depth, but if they're going to give you those free plays, you take that all day long. So hopefully the Dolphins can recognize that stuff on film. But versus the Jaguars, they definitely had some injuries in the secondary, and you can see like they didn't have. This is a backup nickel. This is also a backup corner, and Colts go cover 3. They give a little bit of eye candy here. He hesitates. You attack the seam. Boom. Brian Thomas Jr. down the seam is able to get over the top. As the number 2, you hit him in stride, and he gets a 85-yard touchdown. So, I mean, if they have some backups in there, you can definitely attack some of these guys, make some plays, and he's gone. There's definitely big plays to be had. I just think, you're more so trying to find a consistency in the running game. And then something like this, like if they go out and decide to play like press, and, they're playing like 3 match, which is what they do a lot. They'll leave their guys isolated in these cover 3 looks, and leave them on a vertical plane, and they basically get matched up with the receiver on a vertical plane. It's basically becomes man-to-man at that point. If they give you this, and Tyreek Hill's able to just, boom, stop on a dime, create all that separation, I hope they can take advantage of that area too, so take some one-on-ones. But more, like, you can see, like, look how much depth they gain, like, in this situation. And this is second down. This is, like a 2nd and 8 situation, so this isn't like you have to force the ball down the field. They just leave this guy open down here in the flat. Like, this linebacker is gaining depth. He's covering no one pretty much at this point. You have Kirk here. I mean, this is just battery by Lawrence. He has Kirk here over the middle, open. He has Brenton Strange open in the flat for first down. But he tries to go over the top. You can see these guys are going to try to not get beat over the top, especially if they give up a big play. Like, they are going to gain depth. He tries to go over the top, and then Nick Cross gets the interception. So, there will be, if you're running these guys that are running clear out routes, you don't need to force the ball to them unless they truly are open. There will be guys open at other spots. And I think the offensive line will be able to at least hold up somewhat, especially off play action versus the defensive front. It's not like the Colts don't have anyone that can win one-on-one matchups, but it's not the group that you're scared of the most up front, like pressure-wise, at least compared to some of the other defenses that you faced. And, like, look at this poor tackling. So this is more just, downhill, working some, inside zone. Tank Bigsby runs through an arm tackle, runs through another tackle from a DB, then runs over another DB, and then just keeps fighting. This is just poor effort, poor tackling. They actually do knock the ball here. This was a fumble forced by, that's Latu, by the way, who knocks that out. But Tank gets right back on it for the touchdown. So just really so many big play opportunities. Colts actually go quarters. This was a good play call by the Jags. So they actually they ran cover 6 here. They're playing cover 2 at the bottom. But when they go quarters, you want to run a post because it puts these guys in a tough spot. If you get number 2 to sink over the middle and just get the eyes on the safety, get him to pull down, that means you just get a one-on-one the outside with this guy playing outside leverage, and you get the deep post over the top. So there's good play call by the Colts or the Jags to get over the top on the Colts like that. If you get a quarters look, definitely can take some opportunities there. And even when the Colts have an opportunity to make a play, like here, they did the fake fullback dive to the toss, and they have many people just unblocked here. Latu's unblocked. They have this guy forcing outside. This, I don't know what 45 is doing. He definitely takes a really poor angle. Tank just sticks his foot in the ground and gets upfield, and he's gone. Big touchdown. Makes another tackle in the open field by the free safety. And he's even pointing at them. So if the Dolphins running backs can be prepared to, like, hey, stay on your feet. These guys aren't the best tacklers. Here's the Packers, which I think is a good game for the Dolphins to watch. Because they just this was Malik Willis's first game, and they didn't even try to throw in this game. They ran the ball so much. This is actually straight out of the Dolphins playbook. So this is a GTE stunt, or, pull here. So the guard's pulling and the tight end's pulling. And it's a spinner counter. The Dolphins have run this a couple of different ways. Usually they do it with a motion. They just do it with a receiver in the backfield. So they spin, and it has the counter action. And it just gets people all confused. Like 45 gets eyes taken away. This guy shoots upfield right here. This one technique tries to shoot upfield. He gets just taken out of the way. And there's just so much space to work with. Josh Jacobs cuts, run through the tackles, just pick up a nice little 10, 12-yard gain there off the counter action. And they know, the Colts knew in this game that the run was coming, and they were still able to run successfully. This time, just some outside zone in shotgun. They don't set the edge super well. They don't get guys, like, and when they penetrate, they don't get, like, they kind of get themselves just out of position. And then when they are getting blocked and they're trying to stack and shed, they don't do a great job of getting off the blocks. And when they do get off the blocks, they just arm tackle, and the running backs usually run through it. Then they get to the second level, just so much opportunity to create big plays. This is, like, the most confident without Tua, like, with a backup quarterback in, that I think I'll be in the Dolphins offense to, like, have a chance in. Because, like, the Tennessee game, I think, was just a tougher matchup for them because the Titans just stopped the run very well. And the Dolphins have to be able to run the ball with the backups in to have a chance. Seattle, I just think, had a little more talent, and Mike McDonald is just a very good defensive mind, so I didn't feel as confident in that matchup. But versus this team, this is by far the best chance they got. New England was just a little more talented, ran a lot of cover 3, but they were able to move the ball pretty well versus New England. And then teams have had success doing this. The reverses, this stuff, the things Dolphins love to do. Colts' eyes get stuck in the backfield. They have some guys who can get out and get lateral, like, athletically, but you can definitely get big plays versus them. Here's just behind the back, basically, pin pull type stuff going on, run blocking wise. They don't set the edge here. These guys get downhill. They cut them off. Good job by the tight end. Now you have all these lead blockers on space, and Jaden Reed's able to capture the edge. Just poor, undisciplined football by Indianapolis. Definitely a group. I think, we'll break down the Colts offense tomorrow, so check that out. Colts offense is definitely better, but I think Anthony Richardson is supposed to be playing at quarterback, and that makes me feel even more confident in the Dolphins, actually, because I think the Colts offense looked better with Flacco, at least as like passing game. And we'll see if Jonathan Taylor plays. That's like another big thing for them. But the Colts have some pretty good. They definitely have more offensive talent, like receiver wise. They have good receivers. If Taylor's playing, they have a good running game going on. It's just Flacco is clearly better for them actually moving the ball. Richardson just super inconsistent. And we'll break down that in more detail tomorrow once I really get all the film going. But yeah, this is the defense that can definitely be attacked. They have some things. They have some positive things in coverage that can go well for them, but they can still be attacked there, especially if Tyreek Hill and Waddle are just playing great games, and Huntley can get them when they're open. Like, he doesn't need to do anything special. Huntley just needs to play solid game, not make too many. If he doesn't make any like egregious mistakes, the Dolphins should have a decent chance of winning this game, in my opinion. If the defense shows up and Richardson starting at quarterback for them, I think this is the most success the Dolphins offense can potentially have without Tua, just based up on matchup and talent on the other side of the ball. As long as they don't get just out schemed, which I don't expect them to. This is kind of the scheme that McDaniel actually usually finds success first. So if you guys know the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.